would do me joy and a blessing to me if you would open it to 2 Timothy chapter 1. 2 Timothy chapter 1. Last week we looked at really the core passage of this new study that we have in 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy being a rather shorter book with only 4 chapters. And our series that we've outlined, if you have a bulletin, you can flip it over to the back side of that and start writing it out. It's just an age for technology. My computer at home has been experiencing problems as well. It wants to turn off on itself. And that's a terrible thing to have when you're trying to type a sermon and the computer is like on a ticking time bomb. You don't know when it'll turn off. And so I didn't even try to bother with the PowerPoint this week, but I'll, Lord willing, by God's grace, get those problems fixed and be able to have a PowerPoint for you guys this coming Sunday. But as our sermon series go, we looked at and kind of focused on the fact that in 2 Timothy, Paul is really outlining to Timothy what we titled Lessons for the Last Days. Lessons for the last days. And this was a two-pronged application. Paul, in the writing of 2 Timothy, was an old man, a very older man, and he was, at the honest to God truth, on his very last days. He was quite literally not really on his deathbed, but in his death chamber. He was a prisoner of Rome at this time. And shortly after the writing of 2 Timothy, whether it be weeks or months, we do not know, but Paul was martyred. He was beheaded by church tradition, that the church tradition tells us. And so Paul knew that he was going to die. In the writing of Timothy, he's writing, as we did into the 4th chapter, he's already in prison. He's telling Timothy's bring my things to me. He knew he wasn't going to leave. He knew God was not going to provide some miraculous escape like many times happened in Paul's life. He knew that this quite very well was going to be the end. And so in his last days, he wrote to Timothy some lessons for Timothy to live by. That's the first application that we see in 2 Timothy. The second one, that it may even be more beneficial, perhaps, for us as Christians, that lessons for these last days, Paul definitely had a focus on the end times. He said, Timothy, as we get closer to the end times, these things will be, and you need to prepare yourself for that. You need to prepare the church